All right, welcome back to the finals of GPS. And it seems like
Hello?
that my co-commentator is getting ready. Okay, yeah, hello. So we're in the middle of game one, it seems. Although I haven't been around for the start of the game, but I don't think it progressed too much. Just by looking at the
Yes.
discard piles. Seems like Purple fetched a bit and then played a Cosmic Cinco. Meanwhile, Epid. Oh, I guess one of the villainies got countered.
Yeah, Epid had a turn 2 find happiness and misery into a turn 3 villainy. I suspect it was more of just like a bait the counter, get another copy of find happiness, but
Yeah. Well, you have ego, right? So you just want to clear the way for your ego.
yeah, you have ego Xanagan, so
Meanwhile, Purple has, I guess, Portal Factor, Unrelenting, Mari.
so the Portal Fracture is a good get from the Ready for
Yeah,
Anything.
definitely. Oh yeah, we should probably talk about the decks for a bit, in case the players aren't familiar with the decks yet.
Sure. So Epid's, I'll leave Purple's deck to you because I feel like it's been around in the format long enough, like during your time more than mine. But Epid's deck is a mono black, I would say hybrid control mid range deck centered around villainy, which is the main reason it is going mono black. Runs a bunch of removal, hand attack, and then villainy plus a bunch of just random beaters and Xanagan as its top end. Obviously, Infectious Ego is notable thanks to its ability to just tax your opponent out of the game and then gain you a bunch of life. But in general, the deck's plan is just interact with your opponent and then slam stuff that if they don't have answers for, they just lose. And you also have just like mountains of card advantage with Find Happiness and Misery, Dark Bargain, Villainy. You can just overwhelm opponents who are planning to play a fair game.
And most notably, this deck has 4 main deck Wave of Decays, so you know it's going all in on anti-aggro plan.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Unfortunately, Epid's not playing against an aggro deck right now. Instead, they're playing
Yeah,
against Esper control. And Purple's deck is, well, it's pretty basic. Well, I guess it's basic Esper control. Like, it's Esper control how you would expect an Esper control deck to be built. It has counter spells, some card draw slash filtering, like with Ready for Anything, which 2 mana get scry to draw a card, and then you can crack the clue later for some more cards. You have Cosmic Cinco, which is a good counterspell early and still decent counterspell late. You have Portal Fracture, which is a good counterspell early and still a decent counterspell mid game.
which speaking of Portal Fracture just dropped in response to the Infectious Ego. And
It's on
hey,
4, yeah,
it is on
Wanderlust.
4.
So now you
It is
actually
going to get
have
a win con there.
you can start attacking with these guys.
Purple has lost a lot of life to their mana base, so this will allow them to start hitting in. And
Yeah.
wow, okay.
And the
As
top
soon as
end
they hit it,
is just planeswalkers, a bunch of expensive planeswalkers. You also
we
have
say a bunch of, there's only 3 in the deck, and Purple has drawn 2 of them.
yes,
So,
but also Unrelenting lets you fetch your top end.
oh yeah, no, I don't disagree. I just mean more like in this situation, I think that if you're Epid, you probably aren't expecting Purple to potentially go Seto-san next turn if they hit a land, and then Marie. Oh well,
Yes.
okay, now you're expecting it thanks to pay up. Still, there
Interestingly,
isn't much good to grab here. No matter what you grab, Purple can just let you have it, and then just unrelenting into another win con. Actually, sorry, just one quick thing while we're still talking about the deck construction. I think that this Esper control list is very much. I think that lots of control lists in the past for MSEM had like a hook to them, in order to like succeed or function, and it feels like there isn't really that style of like a hook to Esper
yeah.
control. It's just a really solid list. I think the main thing that stands out to me is obviously, like you mentioned, unrelenting. I think confirm hypothesis is also just
Oh yeah,
like
that's in the
it's
deck,
not as
right?
yeah, it's not like a hook, but it's the one thing that is like non-standard. I think if there was a card like this in like canon controls suites, then I'm pretty sure that it would be run in some capacity. But the full 4 main deck confirm hypothesis is definitely interesting. Is I guess how I would put it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with the fetch land, it's a way to ramp. Or I
Oh yeah, no,
guess, I mean, since nobody has drawn that card yet, basically confirmed hypothesis is 2 mana instant, copy target activated or triggered ability, draw a card. So if you target your fetch lands with it, you get to copy the fetch trigger or fetch activation.
just to clarify, like the way I said interesting maybe made it sound like I thought it was bad. I don't. It's just that I'm not sure. It feels strange to call it a meta call when it's really just like, is your opponent running the most standard mana base in the game, plus it has additional utility? But it is like a sort of tech card in
They
the way that the other
fetch,
slots aren't.
they fetch end of days to deal with the villainy. Wait, when did Epid resolve the villainy? I wasn't paying attention because we were talking about the deck construction.
Oh, I think they went pay up into villainy last turn.
Okay, so wait, is end of days their only way to deal with villainy?
They have Diang's displeasure into countermat. No, yeah, they don't. They just have Diang's displeasure,
Yeah,
but they
what?
don't have anything. They don't have anything at M. I think end of days is their only thing at MV5 or higher. I think fetching that when you, I guess that's the best thing to fetch. It does feel a little weird when they're getting really mana screwed right now.
Are they? They're at 4 lands. That's already not horrible.
Oh, well, sorry, screwed in the sense of like they have two, or they had in Seto-san, and now End of Days, two high value spells they'd really like to cast, and they haven't been seeing their fifth land for a few turns. I guess screwed makes it sound like you're unable to cast spells in general, which is not what I was meaning.
What else
In this
can
specific situation,
is there anything that Unrelenting can fetch that unscrews them?
not really.
Do they have mainboard Sandrine's Command? Yeah, they have two mainboard Sandrine's Commands, which lets Unrelenting eventually grab a 1-drop. Which does that do anything?
No, it's on. The one drops are on removal and
Okay.
and Cosmic Sinkhole, which I keep it doesn't really do anything off the Shanjin, so it's just removal on the Shanjins. At least main sideboard they have the Chronicles and stuff, but yeah.
Also, Purple's finally out of counterspell, so Epid will be able to slam Infectious Ego, or actually Zanigid would be even better here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they already have Purple already cast one Unrelenting, so the second Unrelenting will actually be able to do two things.
Right, but what would I think? I guess yeah, actually, because if you go 2/2 plus Tutor, actually, I get the Tutor isn't that great, but the 2/2 will be able to pressure Xanagan pretty effectively. Even if she pluses up to 6, you can still no. Actually, no, Xanagan still outstrips it pretty quickly, especially since you kill both scouts by casting Xanagan. Never mind. Ooh, yeah, I don't know. Epid's thinking about it reasonably, but no matter what Epid does here, I don't think Epid can afford to just pass, right?
Of course not, and I doubt they're gonna pass.
And like I guess they're just thinking between Xanagan and Ego, but I think it doesn't matter, right? Like I guess the thought is if their last counterspell is Sinkhole, then you want to not get dunked by that. Is there anything else that I'm missing that Epid could be trying to think?
Well,
wave of DK X equals 0.
They want to draw first.
Okay, that's fair. And then now you can slam to Ego.
They already played their land.
Yeah, they played Swarming Midden already.
Okay, so unfortunately, Ego will not trigger villainy, so they can't get rid of the token to clear out the Infectious Ego sack for the land. Purple lets it resolve. They're quite happy with this outcome, I think, because yeah, they get to use their token to prevent a land sack, which is absolutely huge here because now Purple can top deck a land and then End of Days and name Battle to wipe the board because you can do that nowadays, naming Battle with End of Days.
Shout out to when this was not just 5 mana planner cleansing.
Hey, maybe MSEM will get a battle eventually.
Honestly, not impossible. I know lots of people are messing around with them.
Yeah, but is there
I don't think it's going to come down for the Drain plus Tutor modes.
Drain, interesting. They're not going to fetch a creature? I mean, I guess Sandrine's Command just deals with Ego immediately, so you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, okay, so they deal with Ego, and then they cast a 1-drop, I guess. Oh, okay, never mind. There's their 5th land.
I think the main thing is that you actually probably want to hold a Shanjin's Command, specifically because you can Shanjin's Command... oh, no, I could do this. I was thinking of...
They're going to wipe the villainy first.
I was thinking of like how scared are you of the villainy, and then you could Shanjin's Command plus Exit off the Tutor and just kill Swarming Midden plus Infectious Ego, so that prevents them from animating Swarming Midden, and you still get your normal Shanjins on end.
Yeah. Purple also does name Battle. Like, Battle is always the right thing to name here. Like, but they could have just named any other card type that wasn't on the field, so it wouldn't have made any difference that Battle was printed. Oh yeah, villainy will see Ego die, so Epid gets to draw a card. Yeah,
it's definitely an interesting thing in that there's always been this tension in villainy decks of it asks you to run a lot of non-creature spells, but also it does help to have your own creatures to trigger it every once in a while. Your opponent is tapped out. I think you just have to windmill slam the Xanagan while you can.
Ooh, Dark Bargain, nice. That's something to follow up Xanagan with. So actually, now I think about it,
what does Purple have here that's in a good spot?
Does Purple have anything that answers Planeswalkers?
Off of Dungeons? No. I mean, they do have Diang's Displeasure, so they just need to hit that. But in their hand right now, I mean, the best thing is Marie, and then Marie -2s, and then you just kill it with Descend on the Helpless, and then just and then you kill Marie. So
yeah, huh. I mean, there's still lots of...
Monument of Queens pressures Xanagan in a few turns, but it is a unbuffed Monument of Queens right now, so... It'll take a little bit to
Actually,
get there.
Fluster Rot will shut off Swarming Midden, but I don't think Purple wants to take the turn off to play it.
Yeah, and I mean, if I'm hoping Epid plays Xanagan here, and then Xanagan is the main threat, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, in the sense of like I don't think that like Swarming Midden sucks, but I think that you're not that scared of it relative to the Windmill Slam of Xanagan here, because Purple's deck has so many ways to deal with creatures.
Yeah. So Epid can plus or minus Xanagan.
I don't think it makes sense to minus Xanagan. I think you really
You
just
don't actually
want
have that many things in hand right now, though.
Okay, he's gonna -3.
Yeah, like you have 2 land and some removal spell that doesn't do anything, so you might as well try to draw into some more action. And it's not like Purple has any damage-based removal, so minusing won't actually make Xanagan more likely to die.
It dies to Monument of Queen's animation here.
Okay, but if like Purple spends their entire turn on Monument Queens, I think Epid's pretty happy.
I don't know. I would rather keep my win con, stabilize my life total. You have Dark Bargain as another way to draw a card next turn, and you have Swarming Midden as a threat. I don't like the -3 there.
Yeah,
like,
I guess.
You still have lots of things to do.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you
like,
now.
I wouldn't like. I think if Purple didn't have the Monument of Queens on board, it would be a different story, and I could see the argument. But then, when you know your opponent has the ability to just, if they want to, instantly kill a win con that they otherwise would have trouble dealing with, yeah.
Well, maybe Epid did this to play around Diane's Displeasure.
But then, wait, how does this play around Diane's Displeasure? You get blown out either way. Like Diane's Displeasure can just bounce Dark Bargain and then kill Xanagan.
Will maybe Epid's trying to get Purple to tap out.
I mean, I don't disagree with that, but then also, if you don't have anything to do on the turn,
that's a lot of swamps.
That's a lot of swamps. I'm assuming that they were hoping to draw into another win con, but like 3 of your villainies are in grave, 2 of your infectious egos are in grave. You just played a Xanagan. You basically have 4 win cons left in your entire deck. And like I'm in win cons in the sense of like I think you can call Valdez a win con. I don't think it's really a meaningful one versus this deck. So
yeah, Epid really not liking
collapsing
the fact that
collapsing ridges is kind of a win con in this situation because it gets back your infectious egos. But yeah,
does Epid have any targets for Descent on the Helpless? The backside, I mean.
No, just none.
Yeah, I guess this is what Epid got punished for going so hard anti-aggro, because now in the finals they have all these useless cards in the main deck.
Yeah, fair. And then I mean the idea is then you just out the side swap it all out.
Well, at least Memento Mori kills the Monument. At least, I guess.
Yeah, Epid is now kind of at the life total where it's like, what are we doing here?
They die to an Unrelenting plus some random ping.
Mm-hmm. Okay, with what's in hand, what is Purple potentially able to do? I guess nothing really to pressure life totals right now. I think that Purple will play around removal on Monument. So
Epid's gonna keep drawing cards. They're hoping to draw into a threat to play while Purple's tapped out. There's their answer to Monument, I guess.
Yeah.
Did Epid play a land this turn?
Epid has not yet played a land this turn, as far as I know.
They can turn
Let me scroll. Oh, they already did. Sorry, they played a swamp.
Well, I don't think Purple's going to animate Monument, though, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Now Purple's going to animate Monument if you tap yourself out.
No, Purple's still not going to animate Monument, because I don't think Purple wants to spend the turn animating Monument. Like, they have so many better plays right now.
Maybe I'm missing them. What would it be?
Playing the Planeswalker, playing Xanagan.
Well, they just top deck Xanagan.
Playing ready for anything.
I don't think you played ready. I think you just because Monument kills in 2 turns, right? I would animate Monument, put Epid down to 2. Also makes it so that if they have any more of their draw, it hurts them. You don't have any counter magic to hold up, so I don't think it. Like if Epid had hit the 6th land for Marie, then yeah, obviously you just Windmill Slam Marie. But now, yeah, you just Windmill Slam Xanagan. But before it was like your opponent's on 4 life. They don't have any. They're tapped out. Just swing at them with Monument, and like all of their damage-based win cons get worse as a result. Like yeah.
Good point. Huh. Also, Epid discarding Descent to hand size. Pretty funny.
That's the tech.
Unfortunately, still no targets. So, actually, no, you can cast it without a target, right?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, so you have to target your own rat in order to cast it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's worth. I don't think that's worth it.
Hey, do you want to play a 5-mana? Wait, what? How big is it on the backside? Let me.
2/2.
Yeah, 5-mana 2/2 flyer. Sack a creature.
I mean, honestly, actually, I said that wasn't worth it. It might be worth it just to block the Monument.
No,
if the Mirror Gate wasn't in hand. If the Mirror Gate wasn't in hand, that might actually just have to be a play, because otherwise you risk Memento Mori being countered, and then you're in a World of Hurt. Oh, what? Huh?
Ready for anything to draw into a counter spell, because Purple does not want Epid to play anything, and they'd rather play it safe than try to rush the victory. Because if you get the game on lockdown, you win anyways. You'll need to try to tap out and then go for the two turn clock.
I guess, but what is I guess if Epid top decks Villainy plus
They just have to top deck Eagle or Mirrorgate. Like maybe Purple's playing around Mirrorgate right now.
Like no okay, I guess playing around Mirrorgate makes sense, but then if
or playing against a Memento Mori or something like that.
Because my thought is if you play Xanagan here +2, you have 2 different threats which kill it next turn. Now obviously
Right.
Epid has ways of gaining life, but then you have a quote unquote tempo advantage at that point because you have 2 different win cons, and so you can just keep plussing Xanagan and then answer whatever threats they play.
We're gonna keep up Sandrine's command. Purple's playing around something, like maybe some really crazy line from Epid. Oh, okay, that's a swamp. Yeah, I think Epid just flooded out.
But I mean, it's also like I really think that this game started going on a downturn after that -3 on Xanagan.
I mean, would Xanagan being in play help Epid right now? It would still die, right? Or no? Purple doesn't have any good ways to kill it.
Yeah, Purple didn't have any good ways to kill it. You just keep exerting pressure.
Well, but Epid doesn't know that Purple doesn't have Diane's Displeasure. Like if Epid plus Xanagan and Purple Diane's Displeasure, then all you're getting from Xanagan is 2 life.
I mean, sure, but then that's true of your Xanagan either way. And what happens is Epid had a Dark Bargain in play, right?
Yeah.
So in order to kill Xanagan, Purple would have to bounce the Dark Bargain. So you would at least be getting another card off your Dark Bargain as a result.
Right.
I think for forcing the Diane's Displeasure, I think it comes down to I get what you're saying about like drawing into more win cons, but then Epid is already like 5 win cons deep in their grave when they don't have like a crazy amount of Haymaker win cons in this matchup anyways. So I guess like you're thinking it's a control matchup, you want to like try and hit some action, but then my thing is action on the board is worth way more than action in your hand because of the counter magic that Purple has. And obviously we know that Purple doesn't have counter magic, but yeah.
Well, yeah, in the same vein, like we know that Purple doesn't have counter magic, but Epid doesn't. So maybe like because Epid knows that to deal with Xanagan, Purple would have to tap out. So any other action they draw later on would be good, or any action that they draw on that turn afterwards would be good because Purple would be tapped out during that turn.
I mean, again, that's not something that Purple could have gone like land, Diane's Displeasure, hold up, counterspell, right?
Well, does Purple have any hard counters on 2?
Does not have any hard counters on 2.
They have Lost Through Dreams. How many copies? 2 copies of Lost Through Dreams. So yeah, that's their only hard counter on 2.
Mm-hmm.
So if
also to be fair, do they have any other hard counters? Period.
In the board they do, but not main.
Yeah. So in that case, it means that even if you're then you don't even have to worry about like Purple tapping out unless they have multiple counterspells because you had it at that point. Epid had a reasonable enough mana advantage that like it would require at least a 2-for-1 from Purple, then that would be fine.
Right. Well, you're still playing around the Cosmic Synchro on 3, right?
I mean, sure. But then I think that Cosmic Sinkhole on 3, I have to go back and count, but I believe that they would still need at least another Cosmic Sinkhole counter or villainy. And even then, like, you don't have to, because you have Swarming Maiden, you don't even need to play stuff in your hand.
Epid's not going to play out Mirrorgate?
I guess the idea is the Memento Mori. Paying 5.
They're playing Descent on the Helpless flipped. Holy crap. They're doing the play that you told
Real?
Yeah.
Wait, what happens if Purple Rift Splicings this in response?
It fizzles, I think.
Yeah, I think it'll fizzle.
Wait, is Purple gonna do that? Like, is it worth it?
No, Purple let it resolve.
Okay, but they can just kill this thing on the back end.
2 for the clue.
Okay, yeah, that's lethal.
Or is that lethal? Hold on.
Not on the turn, but pretty soon.
Wait, with this land.
2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, it is lethal because Mirrorgate because Monument has Vigilance.
Yep, and that's lethal.
Unless Epid has. Yeah. Epid has Memento Mori.
Epid has Memento Mori.
Wait, so the reason Epid did not play Mirrorgate is because they want to lure Purple into attack with Monument so that they can put Purple down a mana source.
Again, I still think that's bad because
but
if your opponent has counter magic, then you just lose the game on the spot for all intents and purposes.
You already lose if your opponent has counter magic. And plus, Purple did tap too low to pay for any of the attacks and counter spells. Wait, no, it's not lethal because Cormoran can block.
So it's not lethal in many ways. But again, the drain from Unrelenting means that Xanagan next turn will just kill. And Purple can just be like, okay, unless you have a life gain source, I instantly kill you. Even if you have a life gain source, I probably still instantly kill you.
Dark Bargain, not very good right now.
Now you see
Actually-
what you do is you play Dark Bargain, crack it. You play Find Happiness in Misery, play Memento Mori. It's about sending a message.
Yeah. The message is wait. What does Memento Mori translate to again?
I don't know Latin. I was a Greek nerd. It's like, is Memento Mori like remember me? No, remembered by death? That does not sound right.
Wait. Wasn't there like one of the secret layers that had
Well, remember you must die. Yeah. Okay. Hey, it works out. Yeah.
So is Epid gonna go out on their own terms? Let's see.
I mean, I don't think so. I think they at this point they still potentially have, at least how they're thinking, they still have outs, right?
Okay, but maybe they can do. No, they can like play Dark Bargain and then float Happiness and Misery, so that if their opponent has a kill, then they can go out on their own terms at instant speed.
Okay. So purple's just gonna kill the Cormoran before the Exalted can trigger. Epid is trying to bait a Monument in activation.
Yeah, they really want to Memento Mori the Monument, and purple isn't having any of it.
I'm trying to think what makes this not deterministically dead. Yeah, no, this is just deterministically dead because Epid has nothing they can play that gets them out of the situation. As soon as they play,
Well, they've given up on the Memento Mori plan, it seems.
yeah, okay, that's game.
Okay. Unfortunately, Find Happiness and Misery is not instant speed, so Epid won't be able to go out on their own terms. But at least they can cast Memento Mori in response to whatever this purple does to kill them, and send a message that way.
I mean, if purple's really cruel, you just go unrelenting, tutor inexorable epidemic, and then just pass into infinity.
No, wait, but the Swearing Minions can still attack, right?
They can attack as zero, as zero, or yeah, 0/1s.
Never mind. They just make an elemental. Well,
I mean, yeah,
they can't play it. Yeah. So purple does fetch Epidemic. So are they gonna BM? That'd be pretty funny. Like purple plays Epidemic, and
I don't think purple is the BMing type, but that would be funny.
And then Epid has to play Memento Mori to kill themselves.
To be fair, it only triggers a non-creature spell, so they could still technically top deck.
Disappointing.
Yeah, I think
they should have at least shown the Epidemic first.
I think in general this is like purple favored matchup, but we did see like Epid be like having relevant threats. It just became a situation where purple just kind of had like too many angles of attack, and Epid flooded out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean if they resolve ego early, then purple kind of is screwed.
That's the ego.
Yeah,
so let's look at sideboarding for each of these decks. So what do you think purple's going to bring?
Well, no. First of all, Epid's boarding is way easier. You just board out all the removal and bring in all the rest.
I wanted to save that one for myself.
Okay, well, let's go up to purple then.
I think you bring in Chronicles of the Kitsune as a win con. I think it's just kind of like being able to grab it at instant speed with your Shanjins just feels pretty not bad, especially like in control matchups. Hu Li is kind of cracked.
Yeah.
Epid has straight up no answers to Chronicles.
You bring in more Sandrine's Command because that card is just good in this matchup. You bring in Steal the Pandemoniums because it's a hard counter. And you bring in...
I mean, do you bring in stills?
Yes, of course. Your opponent's your opponent has villainies.
Right. They also have 4x Infectious Ego. I feel like I'd rather keep my counter magic suite the same to be able to tag egos and not potentially be stuck with the Pandemoniums that can't catch anything.
Look, what doesn't Still Pandemonium hit? It's literally just ego, right?
Ego and then potentially Valdez. But I also think that it's one of those things where I agree, but I also think that it's just like either A, it's the early game and you need to counter their threat, or B, it's the late game and you've had a chance to draw into like removal, and so your opponent can resolve.
If you look at what purple's open hand contains,
it does have a still. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't super know about that, but purple did make the deck and has a lot more experience on it.
And they also do have to confirm, so we can see what the card does now.
Do you think that this is a matchup where you bring in Seal the Tomb? I feel pretty good about it given... Oh, okay.
Wait, Seal the Tomb from which side?
From purple's side.
No, Epid does not have graveyard deck, especially after they board out all of the Descent on the Helpless.
Okay, my thought was that Epid tends to mill themselves with Find Happiness and Misery and is already pretty win-con light. So if you tag an Infectious Ego or Villainy early, you can just put them severely behind as a result.
That feels way too... how do you call it? Flimsy, I guess, is what is the right word. Flimsy of a plan.
Sorry. Right now, purple's going to keep on 2, has a bunch of 2-mana interaction plus confirm, so that makes a lot of sense. Bunch of 2-mana interaction plus confirm, so Confirm is actually kind of interesting here because your opponent's on a monocolor deck, so it isn't doing its usual ramp thing.
Well, no, most of the time you're going to be confirming your own things.
Right, but also purple doesn't have their third land right now.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to use confirm to dig yourself out of this, purple is on the draw, so
Yeah.
would have to be unfortunate hits for them to not hit their third land by then.
Oh,
but,
Esped
yeah.
also keeps their 7, and they open up with Mirror Gate. Is Epid gonna try to mask you purple? Nope, they're just gonna turn off Monument.
It's an interesting hand to keep. I guess you just want to go find happiness under.
Yeah, find happiness into Ego. That's probably good enough. Well, pay up. I mean, that's fine. Epid play a tap land on turn 1.
Yeah, I think the issue is find happiness is going to get countered here.
Well, I think you're happy if it gets countered because it's less counter spells for your bigger spells.
I'm surprised purple didn't counter it there with 2 other pieces of interaction.
I mean, why would you counter find happiness? It's just card draw. Like, you said that Epid's threat light, right? So in those matchups, you should counter the threats, not the card draw.
No, actually, that's fair. I'm mostly just thinking in terms of like
in terms of curve.
Control versus control being control versus control being a very like counter magic or not card advantage or reliant sort of matchup.
Well, you say that, but purple's only one with counter spells.
Yeah, so it is a very different dynamic that I'm probably not considering / giving respect to. Anyways, is this just going to be a windmill slam villainy again?
You can also pay up first, I guess, but well, pay up also recast to find happiness, I guess. I think you do slam villainy just to spend your mana better. Just force the counter spell of your opponent for Infectious Ego.
Very similar plan to last game.
Wait, Epid's gonna not play on curve. That's an interesting plan.
I think it's just sort of like a information play.
Well, but now they don't have any. Now they're wasting mana. I don't think they can afford to waste mana right now in the early game because basically Epid's the beatdown deck, right? In this matchup. So they need to be. Oh well, that's convenient.
Huh. So it's gonna be hand attack, hand attack, hand attack.
So Epid can now try to name Cosmic Sinkhole and Lost Through Dreams in order to clear the way for Infectious Ego.
Purple's just gonna counter with Still the Pandemonium.
Okay, I mean, wait, this actually works out really well for purple because now Epid can't actually clear the way for Infectious Ego. That actually, yeah, that's actually a pretty heads up play because purple.
I mean, you want to get something. Like the idea is if your opponent only has one counter or one hand attack spell, you want to just counter anyway, so they just get less.
No, the reason they wanted to do that was because it plays around Ego.
Well, I mean, it plays around specifically Duress into Ego, right? Because otherwise they still had 2 pieces of interaction.
Even if your opponent has anything else, basically doing this gives you a clue to sack the Ego, and also because.
I think in general, just countering hand attack, especially when your opponent can't play another threat that turn, is just the right play.
Yeah, that too.
Okay. I mean, yeah, you just play the land and pass.
And you confirm it if your opponent doesn't do anything.
Which, given Epid's hand,
Epid's gonna try to slam something this turn.
Epid's aware of. Wait, what did it? Oh, Epid grabbed Zanakin with the Duress. Huh.
Well, it's because also Epid knows that they have 3 threats in their hand, and purple only has 2 counter spells. So they're just gonna try to line up their threats. Do they go Ego first, or do they go Villainy first?
I feel like you go Ego first and then Villainy because then that plays around Portal Fracture.
Wait, what? They're gonna. Oh, I see. So they decide to take purple's only threat and then go on the offense with their lands.
Unfortunately, purple did top deck the Exant.
Yeah, that's gonna be really painful. Well, no, purple gets to confirm the fetch land and also play Exant in the same turn. So now Epid's super far behind.
And that's another land off the confirm.
Yeah, and also it means that Epid did not expend purple's counter spells, so they still can't go. They still can't resolve a big threat next turn.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense, right? Given you thought you had your opponent's hand on lock. There's a small selection of things they could have top decked that would immediately kill Midden. Yeah, I do agree that like you're gonna have to pressure those counter spells at some point, so might as well just do it early.
I think they're like waiting for purple to tap out or something. Well, that's Dark Bargain. Maybe I think you go Villainy here, right?
I mean, my thought is that you want to go Villainy when you have 2 mana. Like you want to save Villainy for your second threat because you actually want to have 2 mana open so you can play around a top deck Portal Fracture. I would actually go Ego here.
Epid goes Dark Bargain first. I mean, going Villainy here lets you also Dark Bargain. Although I feel like this is a wrong order to do things in.
I sealed a tomb.
Oh, that can get rid of counter spells.
I mean, in general, but like not any of the ones in Purple's hand.
Yeah, but like seal the team cleared away for a threat, that might actually work somewhat. I think Epid definitely should play Villainy right now, because otherwise he'll just be wasting mana.
Yeah, and then, like you said, it just, 3 out of 4 of the cards in your opponent's hand.
Or actually, maybe it would have been better to line up Ego. No. So what you're trying to do is get Felony to get hit by Lost Through Dreams so that your opponent gets the fatigue, but I don't think Epid can do that. Oh, they're not gonna play any spells still. Do you think they're playing too passive this game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I think it's the fear of the counterspells is killing them more than the counterspells themselves.
Yeah, this is something I struggle with when I'm also playing against control decks.
Yeah, I mean that's like the hardest part, right? Like the idea of like sequencing your threats in a way that it's actually meaningful for them to be countered versus not.
I mean, and also in this game, Epid has a lot of hand information, so they definitely didn't have to be so afraid.
I mean, yeah, it's one of those situations where I think the hand information is making them more afraid. They're like, oh man, my first two threats are going to get countered. It's like, well, that's going to happen anyways, so might as well just get it over with. It's what you were talking about way earlier, where you're like, well, Epid has 3 threats, Purple has 2 counterspells.
And that's what I thought Epid was gonna do. But then I think like they went with one. They had their first plan was to just go with what I thought, but then they got afraid and backed out midway, and now they're doing some sort of weird half measure that ends up being worse in that long run.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is like there is that timer, right? Because we're seeing that Purple is like, okay, now you've given me space where you're doing nothing that I have to react to. I can just accumulate card advantage.
I think what Epid's trying to do here is they're going to try to end up turn steal 2 my counterspell and hope to snipe something, and then try to slam a threat next turn. So what they might try to snipe steal the Pandemonium,
which would be effective here.
And then they slam Villainy, but no, that. Well, they get hand information. No, they already know 2 out of the 4 cards in Purple's hand right now, right? Because they're still the unused counter spells.
Yep.
And like
they actually know 3 of them because the Plains was in Purple's hand.
Right.
And
now that you know those cards are in Purple's hand, they're just gonna keep hanging over you and affecting your mental state. I guess is how do you call it? Like,
whoa, Purple bottoms the Diang's Displeasure. That is surprising to me.
Is that surprising? They're looking for threats right now because they have all the answers in the world.
That's fair. Actually, yeah. I was just thinking in generalities where it's like Diang's Displeasure is good in this matchup, but it's not good at this specific point. So makes sense.
And they get a Mirror Gate, which turns off Swarm Midden, or it turns off Collapsing Ridge if that's what they want to turn off.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Epid is presenting Collapsing Ridges, but has more Swarming Middens, so I think it comes down to...
Well, Purple only has 1 Mirror Gate, right? So if Epid can lure Purple into using Mirror Gate for their not actually threatening thing, then I think Epid's pretty happy.
I think Ridges is more threatening than Midden in a weird way, because Midden gets answered by a decent number of things in Purple's deck, while Ridges you at least get an Ego Trigger, and it dies to less things.
I don't think Ego Triggers are good right now, because Purple already has so much stuff that even the Lance action completely turn the game.
I don't disagree, but I also think that I don't think that Midden is that good either. So I think that you just name the one that they have right now and is more threatening, though not threatening in general.
Epid's gonna draw off the Dark Bargain. Epid's just spending all their time drawing cards instead of playing out threats.
Okay, to be fair, I mean, it's not like they had anything else to do on Purple's end step with 1 mana. They could seal the tomb for no value, like we mentioned. Or no value as far as Epid knows.
Are they going to start slamming threats now? Because, yeah, not slamming the threats earlier now means that you're in the uncomfortable situation where if you don't slam threats, then your opponent just do nothing and your opponent gets to pull ahead. But if you do slam threats, then your opponent just gets to answer them really easily. And really comfortably, too, because now Purple has mana to both answer stuff and do stuff.
It's that oppressive feeling that this game is almost already over.
Yeah. You hesitate for 1 turn, and the opponent has...
1 turn becomes 2 turns, and then it becomes infinity.
Yeah. Well, actually, how would the game have gone if Epid just went with the Ooga Booga plan of running threats into answers until Purple runs out?
I mean, it's harder to say because I think that Purple wouldn't have been able to make some of the card advantage plays that they made in the middle. I would have to, it's one of those things where I can't say off the top of my head. I would have to roll back.
Yeah, but just look at the number of counterspells compared to the number of threats Epid could have played. Purple will have run out of counterspells, right?
Yeah.
And then at least one of the big threats would have made it through. It's probably going to be Zanagan, because that's the last thing Epid's going to try to play if it was on curve. And then Zanagan makes it onto the board, and now Purple doesn't have the removal spell for it. Or I guess they would have topped the Dian's Displeasure, but they probably wouldn't have the opportunity to top Dian's Displeasure.
The Dian's Displeasure was reasonably far down because they played Ready for Anything and a Confirm Hypothesis.
Yeah.
They also shuffled, yeah.
And also Epid would be up a land right now because they wouldn't have lost their Swarming Midden. So Epid was trying to play too clever against the control deck when they should have just...
I mean, it's also one of those things where you're thinking, oh, okay, my opponent has counterspells. If I play something, I'm going to just waste a turn. My Swarming Midden will be able to attack in. and my opponent has no removal as far as I know. And then the top deck exit just ruined everything.
Yeah. No, does purple have any other 2-mana removal that would hit Swarm Midden?
2-mana removal? No, they had Diang's Displeasure.
Okay,
which
yeah,
they
that was
could've-
quite unfortunate then. Or yeah, that attack would have forced purple to not confirm the fetch land at the very least if purple didn't draw Exhunt. And the first
Yeah,
one,
let it be said. I do not envy Epid's position here. Just in general, I think that this is like we mentioned how this is traditional control. It is traditional control, and I think that traditional control is one of the hardest to just like not to play against, but to have a grasp of how you're supposed to play against. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Um,
Also, purple is going to use confirm on their clue sack in order to draw some more cards. Like they're so comfortable right now that they're willing to do something like that.
looks like they did also bring in the Seal to Tombs.
Why are they trying to hit off? Oh yeah, I guess trying to hit egos off that thing basically shuts off the opponent's entire pressure.
Yeah, I mean, you hit ego, you hit villainy, feeling pretty good with yourself.
And
And
purple has 2 mirror gates? What?
Purple has 2 mirror gates, so
Wait, they have 2 mirror gates? Huh, I didn't realize that.
I love the oof notation on the midden.
Yeah.
Did Epid pass without playing anything last turn?
Did they? Wait, did they? I wasn't paying attention because we were talking about the matchup, but
I think they did.
oh, did they just? I think they've just given up by now.
I don't think they've given up. I think they're just in a spot where they don't know what is the right play.
Well, the right play here is to play anything. Playing
Mm.
something is better than playing nothing right now because
I
at
think
least
again,
that runs out your opponent's
they're
threats.
I think they were tunnel visioned on the midden plan, and the midden plan isn't even that.
What midden plan? They didn't even activate midden that turn, right?
They played midden that turn. To be fair.
Oh, well, they should have played midden. They should have at least ran one of their top end things into the counter spell.
Again, I don't disagree. I think they should have. Like, especially because, again, I think that you can go... I honestly think you could lead with Ego, and then go into, like, Xanagan. And then the idea being that you play Villainy when taxing counterspells have more difficulty hitting it.
Yeah.
Now, Epid's to the tank.
Well, on the bright side, at least Seal Tomb is better now because purple has more cards in hand, so it's more likely to snipe something.
Mm-hmm. 4 unknown cards. No! Just plays a Swarming Midden and passes. You don't get anything out of passing.
If it's just in that state where you're playing against control decks where, how do you describe it? You're probably better at describing that state than me, and you know what I'm talking about, right?
Never assume that I'm good at describing anything, but I know what you mean. It's that feeling of like, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
And you're scared of like, it feels better to like...
Feels better to not
cases
commit than to make any decisions.
Yeah, because if you make a bad decision and you lose because of that, it's your fault. And so it feels better to just be like, oh, I'll just wait for my opening, not realizing that not doing anything is also a choice, and it's often the losing choice.
I feel like that's also life advice.
I think that's sort of like the two extremes of playing against control, right? Where there's the people who will just slam all their spells into counter magic and then say, wow, control is so broken. It just counters all my stuff, instead of trying to like sequence their threats in a way that fights against the weaknesses of interaction. Then there's being too hyper aware of the interaction, which is what we're seeing right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on the bright side, purple's deck isn't winning anytime soon, and Epid does have a lot of threats in hand right now, so maybe they can just get one big turn where they drop one threat after another until purple runs out of counter spells.
Yeah, and I mean, I do like the double villainy here. I think that, again, you just play the Xanagan to get a counterspell out of purple.
Did Epid play a land this turn?
No.
Well, actually, Swarm Mid is tapped, so it doesn't matter. But you could do something like...
They played a land. This is the second time I've said they haven't, and I just haven't realized that they played a land because it's a swamp.
Okay, so I think what Epid might want to do is play Ego and then hold up Seal Tomb, so at the end of turn, you try to snipe one purple's counterspell, you get to see what they have, and then you start jamming threats.
I buy that. That makes sense to me.
And it seems like Epid's going for it. Alright, we're actually going to see some action from Epid. They're finally going to commit to something. Wait, if this ends up working out for Epid, this might actually just be like... I mean, if this ends up working out for Epid, would this make their play correct? All those turns earlier? Or is that...
No. I think that there's definitely turns where I think their passivity made sense, but then the pattern that it led to, no.
Also, purple might just seal the tomb to see what's in Epid's hand, and if it hits any key pieces, then that's really bad for them.
I mean, yeah, see the hand, and also just you counter Ego, snipe Ego, get a bunch of Epid's win cons, yeah.
Well, on the bright side, at least Epid doesn't have another Ego in hand. And like
You
Ego's
know,
probably
I
actually the
think
worst win con here because against this many lands, it doesn't do much, right?
Mhm.
Well,
Ready for
let's
anything?
Yep. Time to draw into more counter spells. Or actually win conditions. Like if purple taps out for a win con, maybe Epid will be able to resolve one of the villainies. Assuming Sealed Tomb hits the correct thing.
Well, okay. If purple hits a 5 mana win con, then Shangen's is a 4 mana win con. So and one that you can hold up. So okay,
Yeah.
that's probably game. Again, Shangen's for Chronicles of Kitsune is just so backbreaking, so utterly backbreaking this
And
matchup.
yep, there's the Seal the Tomb on Ego.
And Epid's gonna try and seal the tomb in response, but no, they know that purple has the counter spell.
Well, if purple wastes a counter spell on Seal the Tomb, that's better than wasting or using a counter spell on villainy. So yes,
No,
this does bait out the counter. What? No, no, Epid, this is no, this is not how you win this game.
Hello? Wait, what?
They want to fizzle their opponent's Seal the Tomb by exiling their own Infectious Ego and then keeping the ones in deck. But this is not what you need to do right now. Like, Ego doesn't matter right now. You just need to clear out your opponent's hand and resolve something.
God, what a funny ego doesn't matter right now.
I mean, that's also pretty good advice when playing against control decks, right? Your ego doesn't matter because wait, no, that I'm trying to relate it to like
it does make sense. Because lots of times when players are playing against control, they're too caught up in the idea of what the game should be rather than what the game is versus control.
Like your ego doesn't matter because your ego doesn't matter. You shouldn't try to avoid looking dumb by slamming all your things into counter spells or trying to play around everything and then not committing to anything. But yeah, and Epic even knows what's in Purple's hand, right? Like they know Purple's holding a Lost Through Dreams, so they could have no, they couldn't have sealed that.
They could, yeah. The only thing that they know is the Lost and the Plains.
No, they knew about the Cosmic Sinkhole, right? So they could have.
They knew about the Cosmic Sinkhole.
They could have tried to seal the Cosmic Sinkhole, and then that eats up one of the counter spells, and then Ego eats up the other counter spell.
No. The Cosmic Sinkhole that's in Grave is the one that was in hand.
Wait, what? Ah, I see.
That was played.
Yeah. Okay. Then I guess you should have just tried to steal the Pandemonium because that's the one that's most likely to, or the one that's most impactful right now.
Yep. And yeah, I mean, purple just passes. You could play Unrelenting or Shangen's Command. Doesn't really matter which one. Both of them put you ahead.
Yeah, Epid, unless Epid's super afraid of letting purple see their hand, but I don't think purple knowing what's in Epid's hand really matters right now, right?
Effects on draw step. Effects on draw step. What in God's name? Is this a... What is this? Is this Sean? No. On draw. Tapping 2. What is this?
Unrelenting for Seal the Tomb.
Unrelenting can't find Seal the Tomb, but
Shangen's command for Seal the Tomb. And try to snipe some... Epid top decks Ego. That's hilarious.
That's kind of... I don't know if I love this. Again, I think
Epid probably feels really clever right now, or before the Shandrin's command play at least, for fizzling the Seal the Tomb. But yeah.
See, my thing is, I think that Chronicles of the Kitsune is just so much more backbreaking, and you'd prefer to save that, especially since you have multiple counter spells in hand anyways. This is also...
Yeah, but I think Purple just wants the reassurance of knowing what's in the opponent's hand, because Epid's holding 7 cards, so that could be really scary. And now that Purple knows what's in Epid's hand, then they can take it easy.
I think that's the thing of like, that's how control gets you, right? It's like, oh, what could they be holding? And lots of times you can just be like, well, it doesn't matter what they're holding because I have more answers than them and I have multiple win cons.
Yeah, but...
And Epid doesn't have much at instant speed. So like...
Well, the difference here is that Purple's ahead, so they can afford to do this, and doing this lets them play it 100% safe instead of leaving anything up to chance.
But I don't know if I see that, right? Because my thing is you still have 3 different counterspells. Your opponent doesn't have the mana to play 3 different threats. And then if you play Shangen's Command grabbing Chronicles, you're able to just immediately exert pressure on your opponent and have a win con that they have 0 answer to.
Well, Unrelenting also grabs the Planeswalker, so Purple already had access to win con.
Right. But the difference is Shangen's Command plays on your opponent's end step and doesn't take extra mana, while Unrelenting, you have to tap out some of your mana to use.
I think you're fine with that, probably.
I mean, it's the same thing that you were talking about earlier, right? Where it's like, it potentially gives your opponent a window to punish you.
Like, if you spend all your mana playing counter spells, you're fine with waiting next turn to Unrelenting, right? Like, you're not in a rush.
No. I'm talking about Unrelenting. Like, if you Unrelenting on end step, untap, play a Planeswalker, and then you have less mana up for counter spells, is the situation that I'm talking about.
You just wouldn't do that if you see your opponent has stuff, right? Like, you're just playing it 100% safe. You're turning an uncertainty into a logic puzzle.
Okay, I guess we're talking about different situations. I'm saying that like, well, this point doesn't matter because purple's gonna grab.
Epid's not gonna run out the second villainy. What's Epid telling up their mana for? They're not even committing. Okay, fine. I guess they're trying to do like the villainy plus again next turn, but that's and hope purple taps out for something.
Doesn't have 2 more counter spells.
Yeah.
Because Epid knew half of purple's hand there. He's now gonna know 3 out of 5 cards in purple's hand.
If Epid saved Seal the Tomb, it would have been really nice right now.
Shadow-san, the Sacred Hand. Interesting.
I mean, it wins the game in short order.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
also means you can keep up 2 counter spells.
Yeah.
And also top 6 hand again. Okay. I don't think I'm wrong in calling this game over.
Maybe purple can disconnect. Like maybe their Wi-Fi dies, and then we have to remake the game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, actually, yeah. What's the tournament procedures for dealing with a situation where one person's Wi-Fi dies in the middle of the finals?
I think that you can try and recreate the game through replays.
Oh yeah, right. Good point. Right, because like since Cockroaches is all manual, you can just recreate any board state manually. It's not like those other games where with randomness where you can't really recreate anything exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So then, yeah. Also, I find it funny how it's already 1 hour and some time or some number of minutes into the game, and
it's limited 2 games.
Or yeah, it's like but both games basically the winner was decided really early on, and the rest of the game was just a formality.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it comes down to the specific nature of both of these decks, right? Where unless Epid hits multiple pieces of hand attack, purple just controls so much of the game. And Epid doesn't really have the ability to go under purple, but they do have the ability to like what we were mentioning, just tax their resources. But then, yeah, if that doesn't happen early on, then it's just a slow, long crawl to death.
Well, yeah.
Epid's gonna king.
Okay.
And so that's and we didn't actually mention this at the start of the cast, but this is very interesting because not only it's purple's second GP winning in a row, but it's funnily enough, their opponent in the last GP was playing the same Esper control deck that was made by purple originally, and then purple decided to swap in and then try to bring this. So ended up winning a GP with their GP opponent's deck from last time.
I guess purple is just better at playing the deck, or got luckier. Either or.
I think that we can definitely say a little bit of both in terms of, if I remember the last finals, there are definitely some plays that Styles made that we were unsure of. But I think that definitely was, I think it's just the deck is also just like really solid. And it came down to the finals matchup, I think, being a lot easier this time.
Yeah.
So a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, where I think purple definitely, I don't think that there's any plays I would call like a mistake other than the Shanjun's command thing, and even that is just like you said, gaining information for yourself / it's just like a philosophy thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, congrats to them. I think I have to leave now, but I'm assuming y'all are going to do a post GP interview.
Yeah, it depends. Maybe Purple's recording their own thing, so maybe they're kind of busy just doing their own commentary. But yeah.
Sure. Okay. Well, thanks for having me on. Congratulations to both players for making it this far. And honestly, I'm really impressed with, in general, the level of competition that MSEM seeing. I think it's very possible. This was not the case like a few years back where you could, I guess I should rewind and say what I'm actually saying, is that I think that now it's very possible to bring a deck that is good and pilot it reasonably fine and still like go like O2 milkshake drop. Just because the level of competition has risen that much. Before, bringing a good deck was like half the battle. Now, like, there's a lot that's up to matchups, for sure, but also, like, I think there's so much more to navigate in terms of pilot skill. So I think that...
So are you talking about how the decks are better these days? Or
I think it's just the level of competition in general has gone up, both in terms of the deck building and player skill, or at least average player skill.
Right, yeah.
So I think that it is... It's very possible to, again, bring a good deck and still not do super well because you hit bad matchups, but also because like there's so many like little intricacies in playing out matchups these days. So I think that consistency in performance is definitely notable.
Yeah, and
so I think it's
Purple's like one of our most consistent performers so far. I still think they have the highest win rate right now, right? Let me check the command. What was the command again? Okay, what's the command for top win rate again? I forgot.
I don't know either. I've been off the server for longer. But I'm crashing super hard, so I'm going to sleep. But
okay.
Once again, congratulations to both players.
Yep.
And excited for next month. I think that Honestly, I would love to see, because like I just mentioned, sorry, I just had another thought right I was about to hop off, is that it's nice to see similar decks put up good results. Like I think that we saw big like Fireweaver Red in different varieties showing up. We had this Esper control list. It would be nice to see like Warrior Kratz come back as well.
Oh.
I think that it's hard to say that tournaments this small ever have metas, but it would be cool to see how decks that have been performing well in the past like 4 or 5 months continue to show up. Especially because I think this is a month where we had a
Planeswalkers.
lot of like breakout decks. Yeah, oh, I was gonna say Planeswalkers, but there's only 3 Planeswalker decks. But then we also just had like a bunch of like, I think that Eureka we've seen in different fashions, but Hitster's build was slightly different. Obviously, I don't believe we had Fireweaver Tempo before this GP, but correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was just like Tempo and Fireweaver as separate archetypes. So like, yeah, I think that like even then, I guess you could argue those are like iterations on existing archetypes. But yeah, TLDR, I think that there's lots of things to be excited for next month. So
I agree.
hopefully I'm back to hop on then. But yeah,
Yep.
good night, y'all.
You too. And good night to the audience.